Hello, today I'm going to be talking about the difference between PHP 7 and PHP 5. These are the content of the project. Introduction, what is the PHP? Then we can compare the PHP 7 to the PHP 5. Then we come to conclusion. First, let's start with the introduction and talk about the definition of PHP. PHP is a general-purpose scripting language which is very good for web development, specifically to create websites and such so. And it was originally created by this programmer named Danish-Canadian Rasmus Rerdorf in the year 1994. So it's a long and old program. And of course, over the years, like any other thing, it has been getting better and better. And for today's project, I'm going to be talking about the advantages of the PHP 7 and why it's far more superior than the PHP 5, why it's better. So let's start. Now we're done with the introduction. Now for the second part of the project, PHP 7 versus PHP 5. First, let's talk about the performance. Of course, the performance improvement is very massive and huge. PHP 7 can run as twice as fast as PHP 5. So upgrading to PHP is a no-brainer. It gives a lot of benefits and very quality of life and plenty of performance upgrades. Hence, why upgrading to PHP 7 from 5 is completely worth it. Now let's go more specific into the features where PHP 5 doesn't have and PHP 7 does have. Now first, the return type. One of the main issues about PHP 5 is that programmers will not be able to declare / define a return type like the float and such, so string. But fortunately, this has been taken care of in PHP 7. Programmers now are able to declare what type of value will be returned. And of course, there are multiple and different return type values such as int, string, and float. So here's an example. Public function area float. We defined here a float variable. And here, with the value it returns. Now, let's talk about the next feature, which is spaceship operator. It's another great feature that was added to PHP 7, which comes with this notation, this one, which can be used for sorting and which can combine functions instead of writing them. Here's an example. Before using this PHP 5, first you have to do function sort. You have to define these. Then if you're gonna do it like this, else if return. So it's a long process. But now, instead of writing all of these, you can we will look at the example of the PHP 7. After using the PHP 7 and the function sort, you can see this we turn it into this by using only this function, this one I talked about before, which can combine and compress. And it's very good for sorting data, as you can see here. And now for the null call-ask operator. This is another useful operator in the this one, call-ask operator, which checks if something exists or not. If it does exist, it returns the result of the first operand, or null if it doesn't. Let's see an example to get a better understanding. Here, before using in the PHP 5, you have to do if is set get age. You have to define age, then get the value. Else, if the age doesn't exist, you have to return null. But now, after using the PHP 7 here, you see we define the age variable, then get age. If it does exist, only by using this function, this double question mark, to get the value. And if it doesn't exist, the value, it returns null. So instead of writing all of these, you can just simply, after upgrading to PHP 7, write this simply, and you can get the same answer. Now, for the anonymous class, one of the major additions to PHP 7 is the anonymous class, which is not present. It was not available in PHP 7. Even though PHP had an object-oriented approach from PHP, so it had one since PHP 5, but it lacked this feature, didn't have, which was very common in other popular object-oriented languages such as Java and C++. And of course, the anonymous class is used to speed up execution time. It is suitable when you don't need to execute a class more than once. So basically, it makes the execution time a lot faster. Now there's many features for PHP 7. These are some of the additional features, such as support of 64-bit integers in PHP 7. It can support the 64-bit integers and large files as such. Of course, PHP 5 didn't have this feature. And better exception and error handling. So handling fatal error is much easier in PHP 7, but it was difficult in PHP 5. And finally, we come to the conclusion. PHP 7 is the future of all application, and all the application need to upgrade to be as soon as possible. PHP 7 is a great quality of life because it helped the programmers by a lot, making their life easier when programming. And of course, it's certainly a big step in the right direction. And yeah, that was PHP 7 compared to PHP 5. Okay, so now I want to write some of the examples I've showed in the report and show the difference between PHP 5 typing an example compared to PHP 7. And how simple it is. Now let me start with the return type, which was not available in PHP 5. Now in PHP 7 you can define a return type for the function / method. Yeah, here is the return type method. I defined a function and I declared which one I want to use, which is the float, and then I can type the return method, which is available in PHP 7. Now let's move on to the spaceship operator. So the spaceship operator added a function which can use for combining annotation, which is far easier. Yep. So previously you had before this is in PHP 5. Previously you had to write all of these. But now with PHP 7 adding the spaceship operator notation, which I'm gonna show right now. This is how it looks like in the PHP 7. Yeah, instead of writing these in each one, I can combine them. And yeah, it's that simple. That's how you write it in PHP 7. Moving on to the null class operator. First, of course, showing the PHP 5.1. After writing this in the PHP 5, now let's showcase the PHP 7.1, which is the class operator. Now instead of writing all of these, you can simply using the class operator write it in this way. Yeah, this is the way you write it in PHP 7, using this, which is the null class operator, instead of writing all of the previous ones in PHP 5. If it does exist, you put this question mark. So if it doesn't exist, the compiler will return the null value. And yeah, these were all the codes I've showcased in the report. Thank you for watching.